illustrated my relationship with Manuel Enriquez by playing an Anonymous Lamentation from the first generation of Hispanic composers in the world. Well, it is precisely this piece, not quite in this form, that cemented our friendship. I'll explain. Manuel was invited to come to UCLA as a visiting professor in 1991. I'm going to have a lot more to say about that. It's one of the things that makes him so extraordinary. And I invited him and his wife to dinner. And he came into my study and he happened to see what was the first page of an organ concerto I was writing for the 500th anniversary of Columbus's discovery of America. I had decided to use Hispanic sources, and of course that's a political statement in itself. He immediately knew what the music was about, and suddenly we struck up in a conversation about old music, and very much in the tradition of Carlos Chavez. He had a tremendous amount of knowledge of the old music. Now, it's important because of the timing. If you look at his career, he begins writing nationalist neoclassic music, very much like Lutoslawski started off. And then having studied with Stefan Volpe at Juilliard, he started to get involved with mainstream modernism, and the bulk of his work was that. But yet by the late 80s, in the time of his third and fourth quartets, he was starting to develop a new lyricism, and that involves really the embodiment of modal ideas. So of course that's something I had been working on myself for quite a while, so we got along right away. As a result, in 1992 he scheduled a performance of this organ concerto in Mexico City, in I think it was the 14th Foro, and he invited me to do a piano recital of my own work, something that I don't usually do, but for him I would do anything. Now, what was so extraordinary about him? Let's start with the small stuff. Usually when we get these celebrity appointments at UCLA, they don't do anything. They show up and they give a couple of public lectures. Manuel got right into the program, started to teach composition, got very involved with the students, gave them opportunities, gave concerts himself. Extraordinary. And it's just a mirror of exactly the kind of person he was. I've known an awful lot of mainstream modern composers, but he's the only one that I know who is sensitive to the styles of composers doing things that are not like that. Of course, I'm like that. Or minimalists, or chance composers. I mean, he had remarkable ability to not only understand this music, but to be able to communicate to the other person an understanding of the larger aspects of world music. This is why he was so famous. It wasn't just that he was a good composer, he was a good ambassador. And of course, having taken over from Carlos Chavez, a tough act to follow, it was a remarkable kind of a thing. So the whole time that he taught at UCLA, and I guess I knew him about 2.5 years, we got along extremely well. Our wives got along extremely well. In fact, his wife is my wife's best friend. So I think that what people have to understand about him is that he started something earlier than is happening now. Now people they're open to neo-romanticism, they're open to all these other things. He was open to these things a long, long time ago. And if you look at the kinds of programs that he made at the Foro, it ranged from all kinds of stuff. I mean, I was so impressed. And of course, he himself was right in the mold of what I consider to be a first-rate composer. He was a composer who could actually play an instrument on the stage. So I have to say that I want to say one last thing about him. In 1994, and he was in good health at the time, a program was set up with choral music, and I was invited to contribute a piece. I contributed one Miserere, which turned out to be a funeral piece. Because he got sick very fast and died, and it was almost a kind of ironic thing. Every time I look at that piece, I feel a little bit trepidatious, and of course it always reminds me of him. I hope that this little thing that I've said helps to elucidate not only my relationship to him, but his larger relationship to the world.